My sister couldn't get hired anywhere. Completely unemployable. My brother said it to a room full of his new colleagues, raising his champagne glass like he was toasting his own superiority. And they all laughed along because what's funnier than a failure in a family of success stories? I stood in the corner of my own company's event space, watching him perform the role of rising executive while using me as the punchline. What he didn't know, what nobody in that room had figured out despite all the clues, was that the unemployable sister he was mocking had built every wall, hired every executive, and signed every paycheck in the building he was standing in. Before I tell you what happened when the founder walked in, comment where you're watching from. And ask yourself, if your sibling had spent years calling you a failure, would you let them keep working for you without knowing? My name is Miranda Okafor. I'm 34 years old, and I grew up in a family where my brother David could do no wrong while I could do no right. We were born 2 years apart in a Nigerian-American household in Houston, Texas. Our parents were successful immigrants, our father an engineer, our mother a pharmacist. They believed in hard work, education, and measurable achievement. They also believed, without ever saying it directly, that sons mattered more than daughters. David was the golden child from birth. Varsity athlete, honor student, president of every club he joined. Our parents displayed his trophies in the living room like artifacts in a museum. I was the afterthought. Not because I wasn't accomplished. I was smart, creative, driven in ways that didn't fit neatly into trophy categories. I started coding at 12. Built my first website at 14. Had a small freelance business designing logos and graphics by 16. But none of that counted in our household. David's achievements were celebrated. Mine were tolerated. That's nice, Miranda. Our mother would say when I showed her something I'd created. But focus on your studies. Get a real job like your brother. David absorbed this dynamic and amplified it. He treated me like a supporting character in his life story, occasionally useful, mostly irrelevant. When I went to college for computer science, he was already in business school, collecting internships and networking connections. When I graduated with honors, he was already employed at a prestigious consulting firm, making more money than either of our parents. That's when things started going wrong. Or so everyone thought. I couldn't get hired. I applied to dozens of tech companies. Got interviews, callbacks, second rounds. But somehow the offers never materialized. It took me 8 months and a devastating conversation with a sympathetic recruiter to understand why. Someone's been calling companies after your interviews, she told me quietly, saying you have character issues and they should reconsider. I don't know who it is, but someone doesn't want you to succeed. I knew immediately. David. He'd admitted once, drunk at a family gathering, that he monitored my LinkedIn. He knew everywhere I applied. He had connections from business school across the corporate world. He was sabotaging me. I couldn't prove it. Confronting him would accomplish nothing except giving him satisfaction. Our parents would never believe their golden son capable of such pettiness. So I stopped trying to get hired. Instead, I hired myself. The startup began in my apartment with $3,000 in savings and a laptop held together by hope and stubborn refusal to quit. I built a software platform that helped small businesses manage their online presence, something simple that solved a real problem. I called the company Catalyst Digital. The first year was brutal. I lived on ramen and determination. I took freelance gigs to pay rent while building the platform at night. I pitched to investors who dismissed me. I knocked on doors that stayed closed. But I kept building. By year 2, I had my first paying customers. By year 3, I had a team of 5 working out of a cramped office. By year 4, we'd grown to 30 employees and caught the attention of venture capitalists. The Series A funding round brought in $12 million. The Series B, 2 years later, brought in $45 million. By the time I was 32, Catalyst Digital was worth approximately $180 million. We had 200 employees, offices in Houston and Austin, and contracts with some of the largest corporations in Texas. I was the founder and CEO. The unemployable sister had built a company from nothing, and nobody in my family knew. I kept the secret deliberately. The company operated under my legal name, Miranda Okafor, but I'd always gone by Mira in family contexts. The business press knew me as M.A. Okafor. My parents didn't follow tech news. David was too self-absorbed to research any company that didn't directly benefit his career. I maintained the fiction. When family asked about work, I said I was doing some consulting and quickly changed the subject. They assumed I was barely scraping by. I let them. Part of it was privacy. Part of it was protection. But mostly, I wanted to see how they'd treat the sister they thought had failed. The answer was, exactly as expected. David got married. I wasn't in the wedding party. David bought a house. Our parents helped with the down payment. David got promoted, again and again, climbing the corporate ladder at companies I could have bought outright. Each achievement was celebrated. Each family gathering was another opportunity to compare his success to my supposed failure. I attended. I smiled. I waited. Then David applied for a job at Catalyst Digital. When his resume crossed my desk, I laughed so hard my assistant came in to check on me. He was applying for a senior director position. His qualifications were solid. His experience was relevant. And he had no idea he was applying to work for his sister. I had the HR team process his application normally. He went through interviews with my executives, none of whom knew our relationship. He performed well. He was charming, confident, exactly the polished professional he'd always been. They recommended hiring him. I approved it. For 18 months, David worked at my company without knowing I owned it. He reported to a VP who reported to a COO who reported to me. He never encountered me in person because I carefully avoided any situation where our paths might cross. He thrived, got excellent reviews, hit his targets, was recommended for promotion. The promotion celebration was held at our Houston office event space. The entire department was invited, plus senior leadership. It was exactly the kind of party David loved, a chance to be the center of attention, to bask in recognition. I came, not as the CEO, but as a guest. I wore a simple dress, no name tag. I stood in the corner with a glass of sparkling water and watched my brother work the room. That's when he started talking about me. My family's all successful, he was telling a group of colleagues. My dad's an engineer, mom's a pharmacist, I'm here obviously. Polite laughter. But my sister, that's the family tragedy. Couldn't get hired anywhere after college. Completely unemployable. He shook his head with theatrical disappointment. She does some freelance thing now, I think. Web design or whatever. Lives in a tiny apartment. Our parents basically support her. More sympathetic murmurs. Poor David, having such a burden of a sister. I try to help when I can, he continued, magnanimous as always. But some people just aren't cut out for success. Not everyone has what it takes. He raised his glass. His colleagues raised theirs. They had no idea they were toasting the founder of the company paying their salaries. I set down my water glass and walked toward the main entrance. It was time. My COO, Denise, was waiting just outside the event space. She was the only executive who knew about David, and only because I'd needed someone to ensure our paths never crossed. Ready? She asked. Past ready. We walked in together. The room noticed Denise immediately. She was a known figure, a powerful presence. People straightened up, conversations paused. Then Denise did something nobody expected. She hugged me. Ready to announce it, sis? She said loudly enough for nearby tables to hear. This is all yours. The room went confused. Murmurs rippled outward. David turned from his circle of admirers, champagne still in hand, brow furrowed. Denise walked to the small stage at the front of the room and took the microphone. Good evening, everyone. I know we're here to celebrate David's well-deserved promotion. But we have an additional announcement to make tonight. The room fell silent. Many of you have never met our founder and CEO in person. She prefers to stay out of the spotlight, letting the work speak for itself. But tonight, she's agreed to step forward. Denise turned toward me. Please welcome M.A. Okafor, the founder and CEO of Catalyst Digital, my friend Miranda. The applause started before the words finished sinking in. People who'd been ignoring me all night suddenly stared like I'd materialized from thin air. David's champagne glass slipped from his fingers. It didn't shatter dramatically, just bounced on the carpet, fizzing quietly as the liquid soaked into the floor. I walked to the stage. Thank you, Denise. And thank you all for being here. I looked out at the room. At executives I'd hired. At teams I'd built. At my brother, frozen in place, face cycling through emotions faster than he could process them. I started this company 8 years ago in a one-bedroom apartment. I was told I was unemployable. That I didn't have what it takes. That some people just aren't cut out for success. I paused, letting the echo of David's words hang in the air. Those voices made me stronger. Every rejection, every dismissal, every person who wrote me off, they became fuel. Because proving doubters wrong is one of the most powerful motivators that exists. I stepped off the stage and walked toward David. The crowd parted. He stood alone now, his admirers having retreated to a safe distance, sensing that something significant was unfolding. "Hello, David." His voice came out strangled. "Miranda? This is your company. Has been for 8 years. You've been working for me for 18 months. That's impossible. You were unemployable. You couldn't get hired anywhere." "I couldn't get hired because someone kept calling companies and telling them not to hire me. I kept my voice calm. I never could prove it was you. But I knew." His face went pale. "So I stopped trying to work for other people. I built my own thing instead. Turns out, when no one will give you a chance, you learn to create your own. I didn't. I never meant to. You called me the family tragedy 5 minutes ago. You told everyone I was completely unemployable, that I don't have what it takes." I gestured around the room. "This is what I built. Every wall. Every desk. Every paycheck. Including yours." David looked around at his colleagues, all watching, all silent, all reassessing everything they thought they knew about their confident new director. "What happens now?" he whispered. "That's up to you. You're good at your job, David. Your reviews are excellent. Your team respects you. I'm not going to fire you for being a cruel brother." He blinked, surprised. "But I need you to understand something. The sister you dismissed, the failure you used as a punchline, she signs your checks. She approved your promotion. She could have blocked your application with a single email, and you never would have known why." I leaned closer. "I didn't do that because I'm not you. I don't sabotage family. I build things. That's the difference between us." I stepped back. "Congratulations on your promotion. You earned it. The work, at least." I walked away. The party didn't recover. People made excuses and left early. David sat alone at a table, staring at the wall, presumably reconstructing his entire understanding of our relationship. I went home to my penthouse apartment, the one our parents didn't know existed, and poured myself a glass of wine. The phone call started the next morning. David called first, stumbling through an apology that sounded rehearsed and sincere at the same time. He admitted to the sabotage, though he minimized it as just trying to help you find the right fit. He asked if we could talk. I told him we could. Eventually. When I was ready. Our parents called next, confused and overwhelmed. How had their unemployable daughter become a CEO worth millions? Why hadn't anyone told them? "Because you never asked," I said. "You were too busy celebrating David to wonder what I was building." The silence on the other end lasted a long time. David still works at Catalyst. We've had multiple conversations now, difficult ones, where he's had to confront years of entitlement and cruelty. He's not the same person he was. Humiliation has a way of forcing growth. Our parents came to visit the office last month. Our mother cried when she saw my name on the building. Our father kept asking how I'd done it, genuinely curious for the first time in my life. I showed them everything. The team. The technology. The success they'd never believed I could achieve. "I'm proud of you," our mother finally said. "I should have said it years ago." "Yes," I agreed. "You should have. But that's the thing about being underestimated. When you finally rise, the people who doubted you have to reckon with their own failures of imagination. If you're watching this and someone has called you unemployable, unsuccessful, a family disappointment, I want you to know something. Their vision isn't your limit. Build quietly. Build relentlessly. Build until the day comes when they're standing in your building, using your products, working for your company, and they finally realize they never saw you clearly at all. My brother said I was completely unemployable. Now he works for me. If this story hit home, share yours in the comments. And subscribe, because the next story might be exactly what you needed to hear.